Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradare Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachare Yamuna Tiravanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapraishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavadutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So, dear devotees, we're at the end of this epic chapter, the seventh canto, the Science of God. Lord Nrsingadev slaying the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu. So today we will be hearing about the ontological position of Hiranyakashipu. Why, actually, how he was able to attain such power. The power he acquired was very rare. Indeed, his benefactor, Lord Brahma, told him these boons are very rare. And since the time of Hiranyakashipu's slaying, nobody has ever achieved such boons. So great was Hiranyakashipu. And we'll hear why his actual position. How is it that he was able to attain such power? And indeed, how is it that Lord Nrsingadev needed a formidable enemy to actually enact his pastime of saving his dear devotee, demonstrating that he's always Bhaktavatsala, just as mother cow takes care of its calf. Similarly, the Lord always keeps his pure devotees close to his body. Text 54. Shri Vaitalika Uchu Sabasu Shatreshu Tavamalam Yasho Gitwas Saparyam Mahatim Labhamahe Yastamanaishit Vasham Esha Durjana Dvishtya Hataste Bhagavan Yatamayaha. So we're going from 54 to 56. So 56, we'll do it together. Translation. The inhabitants of Aitalika Loka said, Dear Lord, because of chanting your spotless glories in great assemblies and arenas of sacrifice, We were accustomed to great respect from everyone. This demon, however, usurped that position. Now, to our great fortune, you have killed this great demon, exactly as one cures a chronic disease. Shri Kinara Uchu Vayamisha Kinara Ganastavanuga Diti Jena Vishtim Amunanu Karitaha Pavatahare sa Vrigino Vasadito Narasinghanata Vibhavaya no Bhavaha. The Kinnara said, O Supreme Controller, we are ever existing servants of your Lordship, but instead of rendering service to you, we were engaged by this demon in his service, constantly and without remuneration. The sinful man has now been killed by you. Therefore, O Lord Nrsingadev, our master, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Please continue to be our patron. So the Kinnaras are giving in their testimony that they were actually turned into slaves. Yes. So this is the program of demons to turn whole planets into slave colonies and engage them in their for their self-aggrandizement. So 56 will do it again. Shri Vishnu Parshada Uchuhu Advaitadari Advaitadarinara Rupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Naha Sharanada Sarvalokas Sharma Soyam Te Vidikara Isha Vipra Shaptas Tasyedam Nidanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha Advaitadarinara Rupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Naha Sharanada Sarvaloka Sharma Soyang Te Vidikara Isha Viprashaptas Tasedam Nidanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha. Would anyone like to try to read the verse?
Shri Vishnu Parshada Uchahu Advaita Dari Nararupam Adbhutam Te Yurishtam Na Sharanada Sarvloka Sharma Soyam Te Vida Ikara Isha Viprashaptas Tasyedam Nidhanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else?
Shri Vishnu Parshada Uchu Adyaitadhari Nararupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Na Sharanadas Sarvaloka Sharma Soyam Te Vidikara Ishaviprasaptas Tasyedam Nidhanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else?
Shri Vishnu Parshada Utuhu Adyaitadhari Nararupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Nasharanara Sarvaloka Sharma Soyam Te Vidhi Karaisha Viprashaptas Tasyedam Nidhanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha.
Thank you. Anyone else? Shri Vishnu Parashada Uchuhu, the associates of Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha Loka said, Adya today, Etat, this, Harinara, of half lion and half human being, Rupam, form, Adbhutam, very wonderful, Te, your, Drishtam, seen, Naha, of us, Sharanada, the everlasting bestower of shelter. Sarvaloka Sharma, which brings good fortune to all the various planets. Saha, he. I am this, Te of your lordship. Vidikaraha, order carrier, servant. Isha, O Lord, Viprashaptaha, being cursed by the Brahmanas. Tasya, of him. Idam, this. Nidanam, killing. Anugrahaya, with a special favor. Vidmaha, we understand. Translation. The associates of Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha offered this prayer. O Lord, our supreme giver of shelter, today we have seen your wonderful form as Lord Nrsingadev, meant for the good fortune of all the world. O Lord, we can understand that Hiranyakashipu was the same Jai who engaged in your service, but was cursed by Brahmanas and who thus received the body of a demon. We understand that his having now been killed is your special mercy upon him. Purport. Hiranyakashipu's coming to this earth and acting as the Lord's enemy was prearranged. Jai and Vijaya were cursed by the Brahmanas, Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, and Sanatana. Because Jai and Vijaya checked these 4 Kumaras, the Lord accepted this cursing of his servants and agreed that they would have to go to the material world and would then return to Vaikuntha after serving the term of the curse. Jai and Vijaya were very much perturbed, but the Lord advised them to act as enemies, for then they would return after 3 births. Otherwise, ordinarily, they would have to take 7 births. With this authority, Jai and Vijaya acted as the Lord's enemies. And now that these 2 were dead, all the Vishnu Dutas understood that the Lord's killing of Hiranyakashipu was special mercy bestowed upon them. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Nrsingadev slays the king of the demons. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Vishnu Parshada Uchuhu Advaita Tari Nararupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Na Sharanada Sarvaloka Sharma Soyam Te Vidhi Kara Isha Viprashabdas Tasyedam Nidanam Manugrahaya Vidmaha. The associates of Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha offered this prayer. O Lord, O Supreme Giver of shelter, today we have seen your wonderful form as Lord Nrsingadev, meant for the good fortune of all the world. O Lord, we can understand that Hiranyakashipu was the same Jai who engaged in your service, but was cursed by Brahmanas, and who thus received the body of a demon. We understand that his having now been killed is your special mercy upon him. So we are hearing directly from the Lord's servants. Lord Nrsingadev has a Vaikuntha planet. The Lord is, he's always surrounded by loving devotees. And they are, Krishna, there's Swayam Rupa. Krishna is full in all opulences. But also Lord Nrsingadev is actually full as well. So him and Lord Ramachandra, they are full. And Lord Nrsingadev is actually surrounded by loving devotees. And his attendants, when he appeared, actually also appeared. It's quite evident here that they came to also see. And his attendants according to this prayer is very important. One, it indicates the epistemology, how we actually receive knowledge. We receive knowledge through parampara. So Brahma, being born in this universe, this kind of information, he can't find it out through analytical study. So if the Adhikavi, the original living entity, can't ascertain through analytical study, through Vedic astrology, who Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were, then no other living entity can. Why? Because you can only, the knowledge that you can get through analytical study can only go as far as the range of your senses, the range of your mind, the range of your intelligence, right? And that is restricted by your birth. Right? And so this kind of knowledge you have to receive through parampara, who Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were. And this prayer is indicating that we need to actually hear from those who saw the incident in Vaikuntha Loka. So you need to be freed. So Prabhupada, he describes the one time he was asked about Vimanas and a Vedic aircraft, and I just forget the exact question, but it was along the lines of if we can replicate it, for our society, or we can bring it back. And Prabhupada, he responded and he said, Parampara is the greatest technology. Why? Because it allows your intelligence to fly to altitudes that no aircraft can go. So with a Vimana, you can only travel within this universe. But with the Parampara, you can get information and you can indeed get experience. So through the Parampara, you can get remote viewing. So we've discussed before that other acharyas in our line, they had this siddhi, so this mystic potency, where not only are you able to view the amorous pastimes of the demigods and the apsaras in the Swarga Loka, but you can actually, your view can go beyond the coverings of the universe, and you can view Yugala Priti. These are the loving pastimes of Radha Krishna. So no aircraft can go to that. No aircraft that is made of matter can go to this destination. And so Prabhupada's assertion that Parampara is actually the greatest technology is quite correct. And so here, this prayer is precisely this, is that once you know, remember, this is the first birth of Jai and Vijay. And when Diti was pregnant, there was a great darkness that enveloped the universe. And she actually held her pregnancy for 100 years because her husband told her, Kashyapa told her, that these are going to be great demons that are appearing, right? And she tried to mitigate the situation as best she could using her mystic power by withholding the pregnancy, but they had to come out. And so they created a lot of terror. Hiranyaksha, he was the younger brother. So they were twins basically, but Hiranyaksha appeared after, and Hiranyaksha is Vijay. And so he was always obedient to his older brother, Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu was telling him, yes, you should terrorize the demigods this way, that way. Their power was just very great. Yes, and so at that time, they actually didn't know their ontological position. But now, through Parampara, we are finding out. So then once you know, okay, these are they going to take 3 births, and they're going to appear again. So when they appear again, then we can just rest assured, just take shelter of the Lord and everything is going to be all right. So in the same way, we can apply the same principle in our life, is that even though things are so dark currently, I don't know, there's something called the Gilded Age, where the gap between rich and poor was so great. This was between 1870 and 1896. And practically all the resources were controlled by five men. The Rockefellers, JP Morgan, Carnegie Mellon, and I forget another. So in the same way right now, and because they had hoarded so many of the resources, so practically on the glistening surface of America, a lot of people were suffering. Yeah. And so in the same way, even today, 1% of the world actually, because they've amassed quite a few technologies, not only to control the unit, the elites have amassed such great technologies that not only to control one country, but they can amass resources around the world. And so top 1% controls 88%. 88% of the world's, I think it might be higher than that, of the world's cash, yeah, in terms of money. And so Americans are just struggling, yeah, struggling to make rent, struggling to make payments. A lot of them are foreclosing. So it's just tight. And so it's been said that we are living in a second Gilded Age right now. In fact, COVID saw the largest transfer of wealth in history, where, for example, even Jeff Bezos, his wealth increased by 88% because you couldn't go out to the store. You had to order on Amazon. So this kind of scarcity is being created. Yeah. And so we can take it that, yes, even though things are tough right now, and we're finding out these elites, political elites, the kind of nefarious activities that they've been engaged in, uh, the wars that they are creating. It's just not only is just there's a large disparity between rich and poor, but practically people are being terrorized. Yes, in other parts of the world, they are being terrorized. But we can rest assured that, and it's only 5,000 years of the Kali Yuga, but we can rest assured the Lord is actually going to appear again. And in fact, he has appeared already. So we are in the golden age of Kali Yuga, and the Lord has appeared as his holy name. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we can rest assured that the Lord, just as he protected Prahlad Maharaj as his own calf, as a cow would protect its own calf, keeping it very close. So similarly, you keep the holy name very close, always vibrating on your tongue. And in this way, you can actually always feel the protection of the Lord. So this is a special benediction of this age, is that in other ages, while the Maha Mantra was available, there wasn't so much external disturbance. And so you could take shelter of your occupation through Varnashram. You could take shelter of sacrifices. You could take shelter of mystic yoga. And these provided shelter, and you could feel the protection of the Lord in the form of these various religious systems. You could actually feel it. Now, there's even a more intimate, more closer, where you can actually feel the protection of the Lord, and that is through his holy name, because these other systems of religion in those ages, not so intimate. It's not the Lord Nija Sarva Shaktis. It's not the Lord's full potencies in those systems. You actually needed to do something to get the darshan of the Lord. Now, just by chanting Hare Krishna and Rama, you can actually feel, just as Prahlad felt when the Lord, when he was asked by his father, is your Vishnu in this pillar? And Prahlad confidently said yes. And we've heard through Parampara, my Guru Maharaj has mentioned it, that actually acharyas have described that Lord Nrsingadev actually peeked out of the pillar to actually, and only Prahlad Maharaj could see him to assure him that, yeah, I'm actually right here. So you can actually feel it through by chanting the Lord's holy name. The second important point we can glean from this is the power of the Brahmanas cursing. And so in chanting the holy name, one thing that's very important is to avoid offenses. And Vaishnavas, they are actually higher than Brahmanas. So we have to be very careful is that to actually feel the protection of the Lord and not be affected by the terrorist activities of these great demons outside, and even feel the anxiety that our mind generates, our intelligence generates through just not knowing, tamoguna, through fear. To actually feel this all the time, you need to minimize your offenses. And so here we are hearing that Jai, a personal attendant of the Lord, him and his brother, they were perturbed in Vaikuntha. So in the spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. Kunta means anxiety and Vai means without. And they felt anxiety in this realm. Why? Because they offended a Brahmana. So the same way, even with us, when we feel disturbed in the association of devotees, usually it's due to an offense. So there's no cause of disturbance actually in the association of devotees. In fact, there's the deities of the Lord, there's the pure devotees of the Lord, there's the holy name, there's prasad, there's kirtan. And a lot of us who lived on the farm, practically speaking, all our necessities for the body, for eating, sleeping, and defense were provided for. So practically speaking, there's no cause for anxiety. So it should be Vaikuntha. But for many of us, like myself, who a sadhaka, I experienced anxiety. Why? Because of sadhu ninda, Vaishnava aparat, offense to the devotees. So let us hear the history of the Lord of Vaikuntha himself, what his opinion is on Vaishnava aparat. So this is taken from Third Canto, the Status Quo, Chapter 16, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, cursed by the sages. Lord Brahma said, after thus congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows. The Personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jai and Vijay by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes birth in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you. The Lord continued, because I am the servant of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her. While others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrifices in this sacrificial fire, which is one of my mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee which are offered to the mouths of the brahmanas, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities and who are ever satisfied with my prasad. I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? The brahmanas, the cows, the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons. On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are glanded in heart, and who, their lotus faces, enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the brahmanas, even though the brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. So yes, dear devotees, the Lord himself, the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, has said that he is prepared to accept the dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. And even if they utter harsh words, he maintains a smiling, loving attitude towards them. Just as even with Brigu, when he was deputed by a conference of sages to test who the supreme deity is between Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. And he found that it was Vishnu because he deliberately kicked the chest of Vishnu. And Vishnu's response was just like how he's described here. Even though it was a harsh act, a great offense to commit, still the Lord was actually loving. And in fact, he was concerned if whether Brigu had actually hurt his foot. Yeah. So even in this case is that he is prepared even to lop off his own arm if the Brahmanas find it hostile. So he's prepared, in other words, to give his own life. Of course, the Lord is the root of all existence, but he's prepared to give his own body for the pleasure of the Brahmanas. So this is the opinion of the Lord, and that opinion is Shastra. It's actually, when the Lord gives his opinion, it the laws of nature adjust to that. So when the Lord says, I will always protect my devotee, giving that assurance, the nature actually adjusts to actually serve that. to serve that purpose. Okay, now we have to ensure that this, it's like the Lord is issuing a new insurance coverage for a specific devotee, and everything then adjusts accordingly. Yeah. So that's the power of the Lord's opinion. And so we should take it very seriously that we should actually always be happy, even with devotees that we might have found to actually disturb our meditation, disturb our peace in the association of devotees. We should try to actually maintain smiling, amicable attitude towards them. And if you need to offer your respect from a distance, that's okay. But you should offer that respect because this is what the Lord is saying. And the pastime of Jai and Vijay actually falling down from Vaikuntha is a lesson for us, is that in a realm that is free of karma, free of time, so there's no time, there's no birth, death, disease, and old age, all causes of disturbance are absent, except Vaishnava, the effect of Vaishnava aparad. So that one, it's not that you have to be careful to avoid Vaishnava aparad when you're a sadhaka before Krishna Prem, even after, because Jan Vijay, they were situated as doorkeepers in Vaikuntha Lokam. And this actually caused them great disturbance. Of course, higher than that is that the Lord, through his yoga maya, covered them over to actually commit this offense because the Lord wanted to enact this pastime. Still, we should avoid it. Yeah, it can cause great disturbance, even in the perfect realm of Vaikuntha. So today, let us pray to the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev to just as he killed Hiranyakashipu and in the form of Nrsingadev, just he also killed Hiranyaksha in the form of Lord Bo. We should pray to the Lord that, yes, my Lord, please uproot the stubbornness that even I want to actually forgive. Please help me to forgive. So whatever transgression might have been caused, whatever harsh words that were uttered to me by a Brahmana, by senior devotee, a peer, somebody who's starting out, whatever harshness might have been exchanged, please, my Lord, help me not only to actually forgive, but also to actually develop an amicable attitude that I had before such a transgression was committed. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, reflections, or contentions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, I have a question
Yes, Prabhu.
regarding the protection of the Lord. I've been thinking a lot about protection of Krishna, and there's a lot to understand. It is a broad topic full of nuance. Protection is afforded to great souls. There are many examples, various devotees who are emblematic of the Lord's protection. Prahlad is one of them. Um, even Haridas Thakur, Draupadi, many others. But it's evidently not that anyone at all that thinks I am a devotee can expect the kind of protection that, for example, Prahlad Maharaj got. He was protected in all kinds of extraordinary situations. Didn't necessarily ask for protection, but the Lord was pleased to protect him nonetheless. In the case of others, we see that the Lord's protection is not entirely unconditional, sometimes proportionate to the degree of one's surrender. So in the case of Draupadi, initially, she was not depending 100% upon Krishna's protection. She tried to protect herself. And as long as she was trying to protect herself, she was not getting the Lord's protection. At one point, she raised one arm in the air, crying out to Krishna, but still kept the other arm attempting to hang on to her sari. But at the point at which she understood her complete dependence on Krishna, that she herself was powerless to protect herself, and she raised both hands in the air, calling out to Krishna wholeheartedly. At that point, Krishna intervened and provided his full protection. So I'm just trying to understand as much as I can about the Lord's protection. There are so many aspects. We can't be reckless, of course. It's not that I can walk across a busy highway without bothering to look and expect that I'll arrive safely on the other side, because Krishna will protect me, because I'm a devotee. That's unreasonable, and it's irresponsible. One might think that, well, I'm a devotee. I feel like I'm pretty much surrendered. Krishna is obliged to protect me. But it's also true that we have a responsibility to protect ourselves. A devotee understands that I am Krishna's property. My body is Krishna's property. If somebody attempts to do harm to this body, I have an obligation to protect it in order to be able to engage it in Krishna's service. It's Krishna's property. I have to defend it. But then there are other devotees who have a different mindset, and they're not concerned about protecting their body or themselves at all. They are willing to accept whatever comes their way, understanding it to and this is, I think, the key, that it's not that they're irresponsible, but that they understand that whatever happens is somehow Krishna's arrangement, and they accept that no matter what it is. Anyway, there's a lot of different aspects to the whole topic of Krishna's protection, and I'm trying to understand all of them. And I'm curious to know whether you have anything to contribute. I don't know whether you've given much thought to this subject, but it's a big subject, and it's something that we've been touching on in these chapters. Um, but there's so much more that we haven't directly discussed. So I'm just curious what you may know, because I'm an ignoramus.
Well, probably you're far from that. You are our yeah, you are Kavi. You're Gita Nagari's Kavi. And so you keep us sheltered and nicely in line with the conclusions of in line with the conclusions that Prabhupada wanted us to understand. We should understand it in that same way. So with regards to, yeah, what you're saying is, as we were speaking, I was thinking about it, then what came to mind is, so when we look at Narada Muni's description of the different ashrams, and even Krishna's introductory description in the Bhagavad Gita of the different varnas. So each varna and each ashram has a set of duties, and therefore implicit in it is the degree to which you protect your body. So, for example, as sannyasi, the way Narada Muni describes it is that in the beginning, they can accept charity, from locally, but then they shouldn't cook for themselves, right? So somebody who decides, okay, I'm not gonna cook for myself. I'm just gonna whimsically, okay, I'm gonna deepen my meditation, so whimsically I'm gonna do it, right? So if one whimsically tries to pick different duties and just creates like a hodgepodge ashram. Okay, I'm gonna follow some things in the sannyasa ashram, then I'll follow some things in the vanaprastha ashram, then I'll follow some things in the grihastha ashram. That hodgepodge, it's basically just a mental concoction. And so you don't actually get the Lord's protection because it's a hodgepodge. You're not actually taking shelter of the Lord. So when one says, okay, I'm not gonna cook, and actually not that they say I'm not gonna cook, I'm taking shelter of the sannyas ashram, and now they're not gonna cook for themselves. They're gonna depend on others to cook for them. They're going to depend on others for their shelter. They're going to depend on others to be able to travel and do. They've taken shelter. It's the Lord's system, and therefore the way in which the Lord protects them, it's in according to that system. Now, if we take it further now beyond Varnashram and say we look at Prahlad. So Prahlad is just a 5-year-old boy, right? And one could say he was being a bit irresponsible because he was speaking truth to power to his father who could kill him. So he wasn't considering his protection of his body as being irresponsible. And his father's asking him what he learned from school. And he's telling him directly, you are a great demon. So one could say even he's just, as I would say, cruising for a bruising. But in this case, he's wanting to get killed because his father can actually do this. So for the pure devotee, it's never irresponsible to actually speak the absolute truth. So even in the face of demons that could actually harm that devotee, it's never responsible. Why? Because they have taken shelter. The Lord is so dear to them that they're doing this out of rasa. So the pure devotee is thinking, I need to always glorify my Lord. These people they are ignorant. They don't remember that they are also part and parcel of the Lord. So they are so convinced, and they see the ontological position of the living entity who could actually harm their body. And so it's not irresponsible because they are fully situated in that understanding. And so they know, okay, well, they could harm my body, but they can't harm the soul. And I'm going to speak the glories of the Lord because the Lord can't do it directly. The Lord can't do it directly because he has to actually preserve the independence of this living entity. But the pure devotee knows it gives the Lord great pain to actually see this living entity rotting in this misunderstanding, rotting in because after torturing so many living entities, they'll have to get punished, right? By Yamaraj. And so the Lord gets pained even to actually see the destination of a great demon. And so the pure devotee comes and like, okay, we need to actually alleviate the Lord's pain. And so they do it. And so then the Lord protects them in a direct way then, like appearing like Hiranyakashipu, making an actual direct appearance. So for the pure devotees, the protection, it's more vivid, and that episode of the Lord's protection becomes part of the Shastra. And then for everybody else who isn't he's not completely situated in Atma Tattva, they're still yet to cultivate transcendental knowledge, so that it can become Vigyan, and ultimately they can get situated in Anandamaya. So if you're on the path, so then uh you take shelter of the Lord system. So in chapter 10 of the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada summarizes Rupa Goswami's statements about expecting the Lord's mercy. So in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, it is said, "My dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant actions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to come liberated, for it has become his rightful claim." So this can reference different types of devotees on different levels, right? So one who is suffering resultant actions is still a sadhaka. They are still the root, the tree of material existence hasn't been completely uprooted from their heart, right? But they are patient. They go on suffering, and they go on performing devotional service. And then even for the elevated devotees as well, is they view any kind of reversal as a token reaction as well. And they're grateful, and they look at that reaction as, yes, it could have been worse, but my Lord is actually protecting me from it, right? And so this is the actual attitude. And this attitude, then you don't even put any timetable, you don't have any expectation of how the Lord is actually going to protect you. This attitude is beyond Varnashram, because any devotee, any living entity can actually assume this attitude. And they will actually be well on their way for pure devotion. And then they'll actually get very special protection from the Lord that's memorable for thousands of years. Other devotees will hear about it. And then with regards to Draupadi, we can see that with Draupadi is she sought the protection through Varnashram. So she sought the protection of the elders in the assembly of the Kurus, And so that's part of the Lord's system, is that, okay, let me just appeal to Bhishma Dev to appeal to Bhishma Dev and appeal to the elders. And that's part of the Lord's system. Then they were like, hands off, they didn't protect. And so then, hey, Govinda, you know. So you can view how she took shelter of the Lord in different ways, um, and expecting a certain level of reciprocation. Um, and yeah, and that's my perspective on it. I don't know what you think, Prabhu, if it's my understanding is correct.
I think that's very nice, and I thank you very much. There's another hand up, so
Thanks,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you again.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Harwell. Dinapalika?
Hare Krishna. Thanks for your class. I like the, well, my question is related to the point you were making about making offenses, and that even, maybe we think, oh, just in the sadhaka stage you can make offenses, but then you're giving the example of Jai and Vijay. Of course, they're a bit of a special case, but let's just take the principle that you can make offenses even beyond the sadhaka stage. So I was wondering, like, in regards to, I'm trying to understand if some things are offensive or not, or if it depends on one's maturity. That, like, for example, I went onto Facebook Marketplace, and then on my feed, there's, all the videos that are popular now, like Bhakti Vikas Maharaj and then Nanda Maharaj, like responding to his, and kind of, I don't know, I didn't watch it, but like, kind of like, you know, maybe critiquing each other or defending oneself. Um, so something like that, or I've told you examples too of, like, Prabhupada disciples that maybe I've been taking guidance from. Maybe they're friends with, they have a god brother or god sister friend, but maybe they're having issues between them. And then that comes out in maybe a conversation with a junior devotee or me. So is that kind of like, hearing these things, is that offensive, or does it just depend on, one's maturity, my maturity, and then, oh, whenever one matures, then it's fine to hear and one should just understand. Like, I'm just trying to, yeah, basically protect myself, but also have maturity, because I'm thinking, well, also we have Gurudev's, His Holiness Devamrita Swami's example that, if one brings, I mean, I think many devotees have this experience, even if one starts to speak about they weren't even about to be offensive or whatever, but they just start to speak about, some, um, I mean, any devotee, but I guess I'm specifically thinking maybe a leader, he will immediately shut it down. He doesn't want to hear um, anything that could even remotely come close to a critique or criticism, unless, of course, that's maybe in more private circles or with a board of more senior devotees. Of course, they will deal with things that need to be dealt with. So I'm just trying to synthesize all this and understand, especially in the internet age, when these things, oh, everybody's listening to it, everybody's watching it, it's a popular thing. But there's a wide level of devotees that are on these, like, social media platforms.
Yeah, just follow Gurudev's example. Don't hear it. And this is also in line with the fourth canto when Daksha was hurling offensive remarks to Lord Shiva, and some brahmanas left the assembly, even in the Rajasuya sacrifice as well. Brahmanas who couldn't counteract Shishupal, they didn't have like military weapons or etc. or weapons to actually attack him. They left. Those who could attack him, they were ready to attack. Um, so if you can counteract it, then sure, you can stay to defend the honor of the other devotee. If you can't, you shut your ears and you leave. And there's a description that I think if you hear it as well, you should like cut off your ears. So the Lord's saying he'll cut off his own arm just to just to uh, ensure that the four Kumaras are like peaceful because they were angry. It's not a light thing. This is how the Lord views offensive, statements and disagreements. So even though, yes, there is a public feud, and disagreement happening between senior devotees, uh, I mean, there's so much other Krishna Katha that you can absorb your mind in. So just take Gurudev's example. This is a big topic. I have a work meeting. So Thakur Prabhu, can you field this part of the discussion? It's very important. And yeah, just to enlighten us in terms of how to actually behave when a public dispute is happening with senior devotees.
I think there was also iPhone 9 had their hand up too.
Yeah, the hand is now down. So Thakur Prabhu, please feel this part of the discussion is very important.
It was me.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you
Dhruva
can go.
Maharaj Prabhu. Yes.
You're
Please.
excused. You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I was just thinking about Jaga and Madai. They also got saved, protected by the Lord. Sudarshan was ready, and they didn't have any of these qualities. It's explained how they were so sinful. So I've heard sometimes, and of course, I also have those qualities of Jaga and Madai. There's no sin on the earth that they've never committed. Still, they got protected from Sudarshan. So, of course, we understand from that pastime or example that, of course, the requirement, one requirement was that they don't do it again. But still, they got protected. So sometimes I've heard devotees use this as an excuse that, well, I'll always be protected by the Lord, just as Jaga and Madai, because, of course, when the pot was thrown and, Lord Chaitanya, was ready with Sudarshan, then, the idea was it Lord Nityananda said, if you kill them, then you have to kill everybody else in Kali Yuga. So, sometimes we use that as a justification, but my understanding is it's not a bulletproof justification. It's not foolproof, and just don't use it. Don't even think about it. It's a very, very poor, weak justification that I've heard devotees say and use. Because, of course, number one, we don't know what sort of karma, baggage we're carrying from so many lifetimes. So, that in itself, we're going to get reaction. And just saying, just because Jaga and Madai didn't get killed, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, maybe not Sudanam, but, even just one name of the Lord, just like how, what is his name? Ajamil, yes. Of course, yes, again, you can argue it's not Sudanam, but maybe in my 20 years of chanting, maybe one name came out right. Namabas. So, yeah, so many excuses are there. But I think the advice, like before Gadi left, and of course, the Amrita Maharaj's example is there. Just don't hear it. Don't do it. Don't look for excuses. Just stay with the process of Krishna consciousness. And my understanding of stay with the process of Krishna consciousness is that, we just engage in the devotional service of the Lord. That should be our meditation. Actually, that should be the goal of life. Forget about everything else. Of course, we have to chant 16 rounds. We have to follow the 4 regs, but engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Gradually, one will get purified by partaking in these discussions, senior devotees, or even, just in general, Gramya Katha does nothing to benefit us in our Krishna consciousness. So we need to be able to take proper shelter. And in that way, by engaging in service, in the association of devotees, we can go back home, back to Godhead. So just my 2 cents.
Thanks, Prabhu.
I have two pies to contribute. When there are differences between devotees, whether senior or otherwise, and if there are offenses being committed, we certainly don't want to participate. We don't want to hear that. That's a hard and fast rule. You don't want to hear offenses. But sometimes it happens that there are respectful discussions or debates between devotees. Sometimes debates can become heated, but still be respectful. Philosophical debate is a standard function of devotees. It's not something to be avoided. One can benefit, one can learn a lot by hearing respectful debate between senior devotees who conduct themselves in a respectful manner. But if the discussion veers from the path of respectful behavior, then it's best to remove yourself from the situation. There is also a principle that Srila Prabhupada described, that when there are differences between senior devotees, junior devotees should not take sides. He described that junior devotees should regard the situation as being beyond their capacity to comprehend. It is on another level, and they should not take sides. They should not get involved, and don't try to understand it. But debate is part of what we do. Debate is how we arrive at the facts of a situation. There are rules for debate. An individual has a particular perspective. They present their position, and then they provide supporting evidence from the acharyas and shastra. And then the opposition presents their position, and they present their evidence. And so the debate continues in that manner, and lots of devotees will take advantage of the opportunity to hear and learn. It's a valuable opportunity. Ultimately, one party or the other will prevail because they have superior evidence. And when that happens, then everyone accepts, okay, this then is the final conclusion. The preponderance of evidence supports this particular position. It's also a Vaishnava tradition that when debates take place, the party that is defeated agrees to become the shishya, or the Siksha disciple of the party that defeated them. And we follow that even to this day in ISKCON. An example is, oh God, I'm having a senior moment. I can't remember the name now. It was a wonderful sannyasi who passed away a few years ago. disciple of Jayadvaita Swami. Does anybody remember his name? My God, how can I forget his name?
Kadamba Swami.
Excuse me?
Kadamba Kanana Swami.
Yes, Kadamba Swami. So he became ultimately the sannyas disciple of Jayadvaita Swami, but what happened was they got into a debate, and Jayadvaita Swami defeated Kadamba Swami, who then agreed to become his disciple. That's the etiquette. Anyway, debate is not something to be avoided. Respectful debate, debate done properly, in which each party is respectfully presenting their best evidence based upon sadhu and shastra. That's usually a good thing to hear. You learn a lot. You can learn a great deal from that. It's valuable, not something to be avoided. And it's something that is expected of devotees. That if you hear something spoken that is not in accord with the Siddhanta, it is appropriate to challenge it. And then you do your best to prevail, to defeat that party that is deviating philosophically. It's proper behavior. It's not something to avoid. Failure to defend the Siddhanta is offensive. So devotees get into debates. We're all individuals, and so we all have an individual perspective. Sometimes we disagree. And sometimes devotees will say, well, we'll just have to agree to disagree, but that's actually not the Vaishnava principle. It's not how we operate. Agreeing to disagree does not arrive at any conclusion. You just have two parties who disagree and it doesn't go anywhere. In Vaishnava circles, the system is when there's philosophical disagreement, then there is a debate. And whoever's got the best evidence prevails. And then everyone accepts that conclusion. So debate is a good thing. It elevates, it enhances everyone's knowledge, everyone's understanding of all the issues involved is improved. So it's a good thing. This present debate, it's all over Facebook and elsewhere. I don't know anything about it. Personally, I don't have time in my life for Facebook. I don't go there at all. I have no idea what goes on. I'm out of the loop with a lot of things. I have my hands full just trying to understand the words of my spiritual master and trying to do a little bit of service. But anyway, those are some of my thoughts. If once again, if discussion veers towards aparat, if things are not being conducted respectfully, then it's time to turn tail and just get yourself out of there. Don't hear it. That's not something to hear. But respectful debate is a good thing. So I don't know. I don't know what the actual situation is. I can't comment on that. That's all I have to contribute to that question. Hare Krishna.